Stu, anytime you beat the Bears, it's a good thing.
It is the only thing. It is the only thing that matters. It is. We lose, I don't know, 16 games, 15. Well, twice. So we're going to lose 15 games. But if we have 2 wins against the Bears on the record at the end of the season, then we're in good territory. As far as
the funny thing is for me is for years, disliking. I feel like I disliked the Packers more than I disliked the Bears.
Oh,
and probably just because the Bears really weren't good enough to hurt your feelings that much.
So it's a little kettle calling the pot black, right? We weren't really that good either. The Packers were better, and that's why we hated the Packers more. Chicago was just kind of like our scrub,
Oh yeah.
Cousin down the street that we'd fight with, and sometimes they'd beat us, sometimes we beat them, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter because Green Bay was always the top dog. I saw a thread on this today is who's our top rival in the division, and most people say that it's mostly Green Bay, but Chicago is growing there. Now, for me, having lived in the Chicago area for a while, they're always my least favorite. So as far as I'm concerned, we can beat them every time we play them.
Yeah. What is the Chicagoland area, Stu?
The Chicagoland area. It
is that just that in the suburbs?
City proper, along with its adjacent suburbs. So you can get Northwest Indiana, where maybe the Bears will end up setting up shop. You get kind of like southern Wisconsin. You get the western burbs. The whole thing.
Hey, Patrick Burke, it says the internet reports a difficulty in loading this show. Try it over on YouTube. If it's not working as well, you can. What's that, Stu?
I was going to say, I don't blame the internet for saying that. Like, there is a difficulty in loading this show. Particularly, content, the everything that's going into it.
Yeah, check it out on Waiting Since 57 on YouTube, Patrick, and see. This is going to be. I know we have a handful of Bears fans that follow my Instagram stuff, and these are some of my Instagram people that I see over here. So if you hear something that you don't like today,
That's tough, right? Yeah. No, I
kind of is what it is.
You can't. Yeah, you can't say that, but I can say that. Like I can work heel for you.
But no, I'll say this though. I don't know, like some of the stories, some of the tales that are being told after this game. One of my favorite takes after this game was Ben Johnson didn't actually want to win this game anyways.
He didn't want to win it.
And he was just hiding. He was just hiding his offensive play calling.
Yeah. He wanted to save it. Well, what we know about Ben Johnson is that he will often save up all of his best plays for when he gets into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that he has this magical way you guys see the new playbook. And then, today in, at, where they're practicing, he drops the new playbook and it's kind of glowing and it's got all the Ben Johnson magic stuff. We know that he does that because that's what he did last year when we lost in round 1, and he already had like his bags packed. They were already sitting like right outside the locker room. Like everybody got back there, your stuff already packed up.
His Amazon address was already switched to Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like the new socks he was buying on Amazon were already being shipped over there.
Why should watch on Central Time? Oh, I don't know.
Hey, something's weird here, man. Yeah. I just saw your phone. Your phone is an hour behind.
He doesn't know, buddy? And he doesn't know that Jeopardy comes on at like 3:00 there and not 7:30. You know, that's what I had to find out when I had to move there. That's what he's gonna find. What he found out too.
Well, it was funny though, because I heard some people saying that if he was the interesting thing was if he was hiding his play call or like trying to keep it vanilla for this game. First of all, there's 16 other games where they have tape on you. You know what I mean? Like he said, well, whoever wrote that comment, you're honestly thinking
nobody thinks
week.
That's what happened.
Well, listen, if we do something different in 1 week, they're not going to know, because apparently it's like Groundhog Day for every other coach in the league.
Wait a minute. And they're looking down at they're looking at the field. They're kind of squinting a little bit, you know?
They're having somebody else look at the thing, and they're all struggling.
The guy's like, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. That guy
what they did last week.
He didn't catch the ball last week. I don't know what they're doing here.
But I love.
He wanted to win that game, and you could see it on his face the entire time. He was ripped.
He's a competitor. And every competitor wants to win every game. Now, unless you're just not playing your guys, like Green Bay did not play their guys. Somebody else did. A couple teams benched some players, which I have no problem with.
It's fine.
Which is fine. Which is fine. But
they didn't bench any guys.
No.
And I do think that, like there can be as much loop brand, copium as they want to spread around. I don't think that he was holding anything back, and I think that they wanted to win. Now, could they have been conservative? There was a comment that was like, well, this is, and I see a lot of people were taking it a couple different ways. He made a comment like, oh, this is one of our easier game plans, I didn't read that as he thought this was going to be one of their easier games. I think that it was just they wanted to keep the game plan kind of like simple, for the game. And I just don't know. I think they thought that the Lions might have kind of already been in the dust at this point, and it wasn't going to go that way. But I don't know.
And even listening, and maybe it's just coach speak in general, but I do think that there's some difference with there's differences between the way Dan Campbell talks about the game and listening to some presser stuff with Ben Johnson this week. I think they're pretty straightforward and pretty honest. That's not always the case with different coaches. A lot of times it could just be, cliches and whatnot. But the reality is Chicago's offense has not been, necessarily clicking on all cylinders of late. And when you are playing a defense that is as banged up as the Lions defense, especially in the secondary, it's really common to just say, hey, let's just go out and do what we're good at. Let's just keep this thing simple and do the things we're good at. One of the things that I loved when I went back and watched the condensed game on Monday, I always love that. If you do have the YouTube /NFL ticket thing, the lower cost one, even for somebody like me that's in the Cincinnati area, the number of games that I get blocked that are Detroit games for that, it was not what I thought it was going to be. But one of the nice things is I can watch the condensed game the day after, or maybe it's even later in the day. But going back and watching that, I mean, Caleb Williams had a lot of guys open in the middle of the field. He was missing open receivers all game long. And it wasn't like, and it's not like, oh, well, this guy, had a yard of separation. There are some guys wide open that he was missing. And I think that's going to be the really interesting thing with him is whether you want to call it an awareness thing or whatnot, because we saw him make some wild plays with his legs and then obviously has tremendous arm strength. But whether it's an accuracy, it's a processing thing, that's going to be the real thing with that, So I still saw guys open in what they were doing, and Caleb wasn't, pushing the right buttons.
He was Cole pilled yesterday. He was only throwing them to Cole Kmet or Colston, Loveland. So he was just He was very focused on his tight ends. But
Yep.
so the difference between Caleb and a guy like Jared Goff is you can see one of the things I love about Jared Goff is it's just like nothing registers. There's like no emotion. There's
Yeah.
like something bad happens, something good happens. It's just a blank. It's just a
Mhm.
blank face, a blank expression, just a complete control. And I love that in a quarterback when, you see other quarterbacks that maybe get a little bit more emotional, a little bit more,
Mhm.
rattled and shook, so to
Yep.
speak. So,
Yeah, and I think this year was this was an interesting year for the whole Jared Goff debate, and I do think it can be a little easy to throw certain positions under the bus, but you know, this game was, quite frankly, it was a little bit of a microcosm of a lot of the season. He was under pressure a lot, under pressure pretty quickly. I've had some pushback with talking to some friends and mentioning it at different times about Tom Brady's announcing. I could do a little. He can drop the 1 ball, 2 ball, 3 ball thing that he always
mhm.
talks about. Maybe that's just one of his things that he likes to say. Whatever, I could deal without it, but I feel like he brings some sharp analysis to the game. And one of the things, some of his takes that I really like is when he always loves giving credit to the quarterback when there is absolutely somebody in his face. He was under pressure and he made the throw and made the completion. You know what I mean? And because I think that's something you probably respect when it's a peer-to-peer thing, because you know what
Yeah,
that is to sit in that pocket and take that heat. And Goff's numbers were really, really strong today, even in the face of pressure. And then you kind of zoom out on that full season, the compilation of stats there for him. And
yeah.
you know,
So we got. Um, I think this is pretty up to date.
yeah, that's what I remember.
4,500 yards, 34
Yep.
touchdowns,
Yep.
8 interceptions.
To be honest, I would have thought so, because I do track things on like kind of the sports betting side a little bit, and a lot of the sharp analytics guys were talking about Goff in particular, and talking about statistical regression. And I mean his numbers. Do you have I saw some stuff that was side by side from year to year, and those numbers are very comparable to last year. If not better in some areas, but I mean, they're statistically the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's pretty wild when you do factor in, because there's the narrative of, everything has to be perfect with the offensive line. I think he benefits. I think all quarterbacks benefit from great offensive line play.
Right.
I mean, Pat Mahomes definitely did. He doesn't seem to be able to complete a deep pass if his life depended on it, since Tyreek Hill left, and that O-line was not as elite as it had been back in those days. So, I think all that stuff kind of plays out.
So here's career stats, right?
Mhm.
So if we're talking regression, it's not by much.
It's not by much. I mean, because that's all within. I mean, the yards are essentially the same, 4,500 to 4,600. Touchdown difference, down 3 touchdowns. Interceptions dropped by 5. Passer rating down 5 points. Completion percentage still high 60s. I mean, 72% is an insane rate.
Yeah.
72% is an insane rate.
And
so
then when you look at his entire career, this is his second best season.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a really, really good quarterback. Like,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
like we said last week, we saw more of it. Like as soon as something shaky happens, there's one guy you want to blame.
Yeah. Well, and it's been such a weird season at the quarterback position too. I mean, performance at the quarterback position has been so flat. You know,
Yeah.
oh, I love this stuff. Lions Twitter playoff chances. Atrocious pass protection. Man covers 95. Yes. Yes. How could Jared Goff do this? Who's that guy? His name always slips
Eric
my mind.
Andre.
Eric Andre. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that's a lot of it right there. People were ticked, you know, and people still wanted to see Dan fired, and we can get into firings later. I'm going to be really interested to see what ends up happening with those two coordinator spots. I don't want to bounce around that. I can let you take the wheel a little bit, because I'm just kind of
let's talk coordinators in a little bit, because I pulled some stuff for us, and I've got some information on that. But you know, in terms of the game, I don't know if I had really too many thoughts. I was, by the third quarter, I was happy. I was just I was happy. Like, the season was ending, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I felt pretty grim last time we talked. I was like, this is the worst case scenario, right? When we go and get blown up by the Bears, you know, the Ben Johnson revenge game, and then dealing with the Bears fans, because that, you know, like, it's the fans that that drive me crazy. But dealing with the Bears fans, it didn't happen. They hung in there, and I thought, even when it got real close, I'm like, you know what, that's fine. If it goes either way, this was all I wanted. A competitive game. I wanted a tight game. But think about what that game should have looked like if they were able to convert better on third down. And how many trips to the red zone were there? There were a ton. It would have looked like week 2.
Yeah.
You know, that game would have looked like week 2. It would have been a blowout if the Lions didn't have as many O-line problems, and wherever they were on the, I mean, even defensively, you know, like,
I have a question for you. I'll bounce this your way. Something that I thought was interesting to think about, you know, talking about, you know, a big hats off to the defense or something like that. Now, do you think that was a result of terrific play by our defense, or was that a result of the Chicago offense not being that good in the first place, or somewhere in between?
It's definitely somewhere in between. We know it's the top, or what are they were the number 2 seed in the NFC. You know, definitely nobody's really expecting to go very deep in the playoffs, and I think they just benefited from just a juicy schedule. You know, a lot of people say that was the same thing that happened with the Lions. You know, year before last, or last year. So I don't know. I think that there were some guys that were absolutely making plays this past weekend, but I do not think that the Bears looked that good. I don't think they even got their. Well, let's look real quick. Let's look at the stats. Let's
do it.
It's the tail of the tape, right?
Tail of the tape. It is the tail of the tape.
Right? So maybe it's a little bit hard to see.
No, that's great. I see.
Swift had 40 yards, so 54. That they have been considered one of the top. Were they the top running defense this season, or running offense this season?
You know, it's funny, Stu, looking at this, because I did not look at Chicago's box score up until now. I am floored that Swift has 10 carries for 40 yards. I would have, if I had to guess, just off watching, I would have guessed that he had 80 yards on the ground.
Because it felt like he always had the ball.
Yeah. I would have guessed he had 80 yards on the ground. That's fascinating. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they stuffed it. Their offense just didn't look great, man. And honestly, I feel like, and you can say this, that, or the other thing, but in the first half, it was all running no passing. Caleb had very few attempts in the first half. They're sitting there. Well, who is that old coach that we used to have that used to say pound the rock? There's out there pounding the rock. You know what I mean? Just out there running the ball, running the ball, running the ball. I personally think, and you saw that a lot this season, where they're going very, very run heavy in the first half. And you can call that establishing the run, or you can also call it, hiding your quarterback a little bit. K-Bell in the chat is calling for 15-2 again next year. I'll take it, brother. I'll take it.
We like this. We like the schedule,
Yeah. And I like the optimism. We need some Lions fans with some optimism out there. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, to me, my gut off of it was, you can't win all of your games just hoping that something crazy is going to happen at the end. You know what I mean? Because if they would have won this game, would it have been 6 or 7 wins with a last second touchdown? Well, that's unsustainable. And quite frankly,
you can't plan around that. That's like what they're talking about. It's like, oh, this team is great when it's, down to the wire. And it's like, okay, how about you pile up enough points to not have to always rely on last second heroics,
Yeah, this team, what they've done this year in when it comes to those late game wins is very, Washington Commanders-esque. That's what Washington did last year. I'm not saying that I think they're going to win 4 games or whatever Washington won this year, but I think I think they're due for some. I think they're due for some regression, man. And maybe that's just me being hopeful, but I don't think they're necessarily a rocket ship to the moon.
No. I think there's a little bit of magic of having a new coach, and I think Caleb is probably a good quarterback, and he's probably still got some growing and development to do. It's fine. It's fine. I don't, I've got enough. Your people notwithstanding, I have a lot of friends in that area, so I don't want them to be miserable. I just want to win more. I just like, and you don't want the Ben Johnson effect. So it was a perfect, as far as I was concerned, that was the Super Bowl. I know that's petty, but like that was all I cared for, is that we didn't go out embarrassed, because going into the off season with a win over the Bears and not getting embarrassed by Ben Johnson, all like kind of the talk, and he can win the next 3. I don't care, but it's not the season after he left. If it's the same thing. Like, okay, yeah, Stafford can come in and beat us. It's whatever. But we had that one. No big deal.
Yeah.
So I was pumped. I was okay. I let the team get on the plane and go to Cancun. There's a little last minute business that they had to attend to with Johnny Moe, but they did that. They took care of that.
They did. Do you wanna shift gears in that direction?
We can do that, or we can talk about, pick your poison. Spin the bottle. We're gonna play spin the bottle right now.
All right.
You spin the bottle, and we can talk about free agents, or we could talk about coaching, because I got stuff for both of those.
Let's go free agents.
Okay. This is what we're looking at. We'll start with the offensive side, because I think that more than last year, not as much as 3 years ago, but more than last year, there's got to be kind of some retooling, and it looks like we're probably going to be losing a lot of that legacy old line, because we've got who was talking about retiring? Skipper,
Decker,
and Skipper.
Glasgow would not shock me,
right?
Because one of the primary reasons he wanted to come back was to play with Decker. And then who else? Well, so also also, from what I understand, Ragnow is more than likely a no for next year.
I
So they're going to
I
be.
almost think part of me feels like that screwed the whole season,
Mm.
and maybe there was a little bit of guilt at like, I'm the reason why this didn't, like maybe I can come back, and then it was too late. It was too far gone.
I think it's going to be interesting, man, because there's rumblings here around Cincinnati with, Joe Burrow looking despondent a couple weeks, talking about not having any fun, and if you're not having fun doing this, why are you doing it? And talking about health and being through a lot. I think, and not that this is the case with Decker.
He's missed
and
a lot of
this
games,
season.
though, too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm always shocked that we don't see more of these young guys. I mean, first of all, and especially with the amount of money that they can make in college now too, because if you're an elite guy, you can come out of college having made probably between $5 and $10 million. That's not insane. And then with an appropriate money manager, you're already set. But second, and then you're going to get at least your first contract in the league and 2 contracts. And sometimes I start to wonder if we're going to see some of these younger guys start to get out after 1 or 2 contracts rather than pushing for the third and stuff like that. Right. Because it does take a toll. And I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting.
So let's see here. So here's our offense. These are our offensive free agents, and obviously, you think
are those projected numbers next to them?
This is kind of what you're expecting to pay.
Yeah.
For some of these guys, maybe they're going to get more out there, but these guys will probably all find jobs if they, obviously.
Yeah.
Leaf especially, like heaven.
I wouldn't be shocked. I'm wondering, can you look without pulling this down? How old is he? I have no frame of reference on how old Khalif Raymond is. Yeah. But, I remember this year, some of Dan Campbell's pressers and some of the other coaches talking about how much they love Khalif Raymond. He's been somebody that's been here for a bit. I think he might be in year 5 with the team.
He was drafted in 2016, so he is 31. So
yeah, he's not a baby. I mean, he's on the wrong side of 30.
He's on the wrong side of it.
Yeah, and you could see potentially with kind of what appears to be an upward arrow for Tesla. Maybe Tesla stepping into that wide receiver 3 slot, maybe somebody behind that, because Leaf kind of acts as that wide receiver 4-5. He was relatively active in this past game though. Skipper was another one that was also talking about being beat to hell.
Yep.
Zylstra, he went down to injury this year. Well, I think just about everybody did.
Every tight end did. Yeah.
Awasika, Kyle Allen. The backup quarterback position is something that I would like to see addressed. But that's just me. Jacob Sailors, don't know a lot about him. They do love him returning kicks for some reason. It never quite clicked for me. I would like to see some more explosion in that. We love explosion, game, man. We love explosion, man. Give me something. And maybe I just haven't watched kick returns across the league. I would be interested to see where they fall as far as kick and punt return goes.
Right.
But that kick return play it's not very exciting, and it just seems to be, I don't know, in general, you kind of get it to the 30-yard line. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's doing what they wanted it to.
No idea. It doesn't feel as dynamic as it used to.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, there's work that needs to be done here. And a lot of people talk. So 17th pick, in the
Yeah.
draft.
And you have this list up here. I think there's might be a total of 30 free agents on the team right now, or potential free agents.
There's a ton of defensive free agents.
Yeah. There's a ton of folks. There's a ton of folks. And you're gonna see that. And sometimes, sometimes people see those salary cap numbers, but they don't necessarily stack it up to how many bodies they need to get on the roster as well.
Yeah.
And so, if you're top 10 in salary cap and you've only got 20 guys under contract, it's an issue, right? So, it's kind of like yards per carry that the cap number is fine, but it also has to do with how many souls you actually still have on that. I think there's a lot of guys on this list right here that are not
coming back.
I
think Anzalone's probably not coming back.
Yep.
Amik is probably not coming back.
I think that Muhammad is going to make more money than they want to sign him to, because I do think he on the other side of 30. Reader, I think he saw some snaps cut in favor of Tyleik Williams this week. Williams was pretty active this week.
He's been trending up.
Yep. Davenport, prove it deal. I mean, I feel like that guy's been on a prove it deal for, I think he's been here for 3 years, maybe a little bit more. I could see Rodriguez being re-signed because I don't know if they're going to bring Anzalone back. It depends on what he wants to do. If he wants to maximize his value on the market, I don't think he's in Honolulu Blue next year.
Right.
Roy Lopez, it'll be interesting because I think that's essentially 3 to 4x what he was making this year. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's a sizable.
Don't trust these numbers either. Yeah, there could be these numbers could be way off. So,
just some points of reference.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Avante Maddox, Rock Yassin, those guys they've been big contributors,
Well, they've just played so much. Wouldn't it be nice? This is one of the things we had talked last time about injury prone as opposed to just bad luck. And I did see, because there's these, I don't know if you're aware, but they're the Twitter docs out there, Stu. I did see a Twitter doc talking about Campbell was talking in one of his post season kind of wrap up conferences, and he was talking about the injuries, particularly in the secondary, and he was saying, sometimes it's just bad luck. And whatever Twitter doc, I don't remember his name, he actually did say that he thinks that statement is mostly correct. However, he was saying that with something like the Achilles injury, because Campbell specifically mentioned Branch's Achilles injury, and Twitter doc took some exception to that. And again, that was just a glancing thing, but this is going to be something that I do want to be digging into a little bit. Now that there really isn't going to be the week to week stuff, I am going to try to dig in on some of that stuff and see how traceable / predictable some of these injury things are.
Right.
Because it's a huge issue for this team, apparently.
It's,
you know what I mean?
A huge issue for this team.
Yes.
So we're looking at potentially a big overhaul on the defense side. Do you think? I think to keep Shep around for another year. Do you think they should?
A lot of it comes down to we got Greg here in the chat. Are we at the point where we need to question the training staff? Yeah, Greg, I think it's a really good point. And Campbell was saying in his one presser, Stu, I don't know if you saw that one or not, but he was saying that, he thinks the training staff does a good job. The other thing that we touched on a little bit last week, but not this week, I think the Lions, they're really physical in practice, and I think they go right up to the line with what they're allowed to do between the players' union and whatnot as far as physicality and practice. And I was listening to who's that coach from Indiana that everybody loves now in college football. But he's kind of a hardline older dude, is always straight face and then busting chops. But he was saying that he's really big on getting the guys mentally ready through tape, not killing them in practice, so they stay healthy. I can see both sides to it, but I do know that like when we do the team versus team scrimmages in the preseason, the other teams and the other beat reporters always talk about how physical we are.
Yeah.
How physical and violent we are in practice. Does that stuff add up? You know what I mean? Because it does take a toll. I understand wanting to be tone setting and everything like that. But yeah, I'm going to be interested, not in part because I think that Campbell is probably somebody that's a bit malleable. I don't think he's afraid to try something different. I wouldn't be shocked, but from a health standpoint, that has to be something that's considered as well.
I felt that I agree with the training staff comment. That was what I was really thinking about with the Kirby Joseph stuff, where it's just like he just wasn't active for weeks and then he got put on IR. It's like you could have put him on IR a while ago. I don't know what the game was or what the process was on that. Maybe they just didn't know how bad it was or what.
Yep.
But.
Stu, do you follow Justin Rogers either on X? I think he's really good. He's one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite follows. I think he's a really sharp guy. I think he's like actually like a sports journalist. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people can get a little hot takey and stuff like that. And he's somebody that I respect because I think he's rolling solo now. I think he runs all his stuff through Substack. And essentially works for himself, which is
he was with a major.
I think he was Detroit News or Free Press.
What I thought.
Like that. Yeah. He's great. So if anybody out there, if you follow folks, if you're a Twitter X person, check him out, Justin Rogers, and check out his Substack. Some stuff is free. And
formerly of M Live and Detroit News.
Yeah. And then he did M Live. I wish M Live had some of their old guys back. But I don't know. I'm not seeing anything super current. I was just pulling up his X feed because I wanted to see if there was anything spinning up off of the John Morton news when we were talking about changes on that side of things.
Yeah, I've seen some scuttle on that. Mostly guys just kind of fantasy booking who they should be talking to or they should be bringing in. But so back to the question, Calvin Shepard.
Yeah.
Do you think he comes back? So he, the window. Let's talk about the window for a moment. They say, well, the window's closing or the window closed or this might be the only chance we had. Like there's obviously I don't think the window's closed. I don't even think it's closing, but Sheila's gotta be feeling like we've got so much right now. Do we have the room to grow all of the pieces we need to mature them, or do we go and get the pieces that we need? Do we take and we just build everything with brand new coaches and brand new guys and kind of Brad Holmes it, organically, or do you risk that? What are you risking? Are you risking the chance of nailing it while you've got all the right guys when they're white hot, or do you blow it, spend too much money, We see owners do this all the time by going and buying what they think are the perfect pieces, only to doesn't gel, doesn't work out. You
Yeah.
get quarterbacks and coaches that don't get
Yeah.
along. You got divas, all of that.
Yep. Yeah, I would say, I mean, I thought, John Morton is the most obvious fire. If you had to have me guess between the two of those, nice cup. I went Wonder Woman today, but they're my two largest.
I wasn't going to say anything about that, but since you brought it up, we can get into it.
They're the two 20-ounce cups I have. One is Wonder Woman, and the other one names myself Brew Daddy. So I think they're suspect on both fronts. But if I wanted to make an argument for Shepard staying, and not that I think that it's the move, but just looking at it from Campbell's standpoint, I think he loves having coaches that are former players. I think they have that connection. The former player thing, he's come up through the ranks. I could see him getting another year, but if the right thing works out, you know what I mean? If the right thing works out, there's a lot of names going all over the place. Some of them I don't think will be coordinating. Like
they're going to get their head coaching positions that are going.
They're either going to get a head coaching gig or not. I don't think Stefanski is coming to run anybody's offense. No. I don't think.
I think he's already interviewing in New York.
Absolutely. And if he weren't to get that gig, I think they sit out a year. You know what I mean? First of all, I think they're animals for not wanting to. But maybe that's just me.
What do you mean? Yeah, animals for not wanting to.
Well, no, but just like I'm always surprised where it's like, okay, so you got fired. You're going to be paid for 2 more years, right? You have 2 more years of your contract coming. You don't kick back even for 1 year, and just be like. But then again, I'm like just like a normal person too, by and large, and I have a feeling you have to not be a normal person to do this stuff. I think if they think the right fit is there, I think they're going to do it. So I won't be shocked if they cut him loose. If they cut him loose, though, I think I'm going to say I don't think they're going to do it. The reason I don't think they're going to do it is if you look at the numbers before they lost their 2 safeties, the unit was performing top 3rd in the league. There's my argument. There's my data-driven argument aside from all the other stuff.
Yeah. It is data-driven and it's real, right? So
oh wow. We had this all queued up, baby. Look at this.
I didn't grab the whole thing. That was my bad.
Yeah.
There's a full it gets crazy with how far it goes down. Let me see if I can find the whole thing.
I might be able to. Yeah. And I mean, you can see right here in the first. This was I think it was in the first 7 games. That they were 7th in the NFL, 22 points per game, which was a high number, which ranks well, I should say. And then it all went down from there. Greg in the chat, again, thanks for dropping in here, Greg. Hard to fire Shep after all the injuries, particularly in the secondary. The numbers, and the numbers show the collapse. It's absolutely true. Now, one thing that I thought was interesting in the game with the Bears was they essentially played, I think, zone almost the entire time. I didn't look at the breakdown on those between man and zone coverage. But I mean, they made a big change. And I wondered if that was the decision he made, if that was the decision that somebody else had that maybe was enforced. You know what I mean? But yeah, when you break down those numbers, in the first 7 games, they were top 3rd of the league. And then they were bottom 3rd of the league after, they lost their 2 all-pro safeties and their cornerback 1. And at some point, their quarterback 2 through that stretch as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I apologize. I
Oh, there's nothing to apologize about. I mean, that was really in a nutshell.
I was gonna,
Yeah,
it really just kind of breaks it down. I should have saw that I didn't grab the rest of that stuff.
It's no big deal, brother.
But yeah, no, it's I agree. My only caveat with that is, and maybe it's not as much rebuilding. It just feels like there's a lot of decisions and a lot of rebuilding that has to happen from a culture guy, and like getting the team like pumped up and fired up. Like I think he's a great, fit. I honestly, I would I'd keep him over, this poor guy,
He hasn't gotten canned yet, has he? I don't think he's getting fired.
I don't know if he gets fired or not, but that's a rough season, man. And I feel bad because I was like him,
Oh yeah, he's super likable. He is super likable.
But that pick kind of does him wrong a little bit. When you see like under like no interceptions, just sprinting down there trying to figure it out.
Well, I also saw another one, and it was their point differential, and I think they were negative 200 and change. That's insane, dude. That's a lot of points.
Yeah,
that's like a Vegas busting kind of like stat line. You know what I mean? Just that's unreal. Yeah. That's unreal. But I mean, so it was funny. I went out to Pennsylvania for work a couple weeks ago, and I'm a terrible Uber user, and I've had terrible Uber experiences. And anyways, so I had to get an Uber from the airport to the brewery I was going to, and this older guy picked me up, and dude, he was a huge football nerd. And I think he played minor league baseball as well. So he's a big baseball and football fan. And we talked but not only that, but like he was into analytics and everything. That was the fastest Uber I've ever. It was 25 minutes long, and it was over like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a fun conversation, but he was actually a was he a Jets fan or was it something else? But we were talking Jets. Yeah, I think he was a Jets fan. But he was saying that he said, really, he said, I understand, people being upset or whatever, but we at least have to, we thought this guy was a great hire last year. Like, can we go one more year? We need to find some things out, because obviously Fields isn't it. They don't have talent on the roster. They've been trading away talent. And now they have a stack of draft picks, and we can see what they can do with them.
Yep. But if he doesn't get fired, I'll say this: if he does get fired, he will be in very good company, because a lot of really good coaches have been fired.
Yeah,
in the last couple of days. So I grabbed these. From the perspective of how could they potentially fit with the Lions.
Sure.
So, Brian Callahan, Brian Dable, you can kind of, I guess some of these head coaches might not get another head coaching op right away. They might have to grab a coordinator spot for a while. And I think that a lot of people talk about Stefanski, of course, but I think Raheem Morris too. Like he probably shouldn't have been fired. They're good. They're probably good. They're probably good coaches. I don't know. I really don't know much about Brian Dable or Callahan.
Well, Dable, I've heard different opinions back and forth. Dable, he got that job with the Giants because of his, if you want to call it, his work with Josh Allen. And sometimes, you wonder is when you have like those dynamic playmakers, and there's only a handful of them. guys that can actually do it season after season. He got that job based on this idea of, well, he's this offensive guy, right? And it never came to fruition there. The Giants, friend of the show, Jim, he's a long suffering Giants fan.
Best friend of the show.
Best friend of the show. Best friend of the show, Jim. He's been, I mean, the Giants at this season started both no, wait, is it? Yeah, Jameis. Yeah, they started both Jameis and that cornball from originally from Seattle.
Yeah, Russell Wilson started
Russ
out.
Wilson. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he got sat for
Yep.
and Dart, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so, was Brian Dable propped up by the fact that he had this really dynamic playmaking quarterback? So was it that Josh could make plays, or was that Dable was this great play caller? I don't think you're gonna see any of these guys go to anything other than a head coaching job.
Right.
But with that in mind, though, Stu, and you mentioned it, you can't replace somebody without having somebody that's obviously better. And I'm not saying that there's not a candidate out there that's obviously better than Shepard. This stuff is
well,
all
I'm not even
new.
looking at this from that perspective. I'm only looking at this from the
offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I got Raheem Morris, right? If you're like, oh, Raheem Morris could be our defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's not
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be any of these dudes. And it's weird because Dan seems to go between, like, he's made like either like splashy moves or like very vanilla moves at his coordinator positions, because when he initially went with Anthony Lynn, and then he went kind of, off the rails a little bit with Ben Johnson, it pays off. Then they go to Morton, and there's a lot of people scratching their head over that hire. And then obviously I have to take.
Who was the other guy? Back. Was it Tanner Engstrom?
Engstrom, who went
where did he go?
He went to the Jets. So he's the offensive play caller for the Jets, right? Oh no, yeah, Engstrom went to the Jets. There is another guy that's doing that's a higher up offensive assistant for the Bears that they're talking about trying to poach, but we'll see.
These guys these guys are all head coach. These guys are all big time head coach. Well, I don't know about Jonathan Gannon, but Pete Carroll. What a crazy, like, Tom Brady's got to be involved in all of that, right?
Yeah, nobody chews gum like Pete Carroll.
Right.
And also I think at this point, like, I don't know. I thought in some ways that was a weird hire. I don't know what's going on. I thought that it just didn't seem to me like, oh, Tom Brady would be like, let's roll in 76-year-old Pete Carroll. But I don't see any of these guys. And again, Harbaugh really surprised me. And apparently there maybe was some relationship issues between him and Lamar, even as far as communication being stifled over as the season went on. Lamar's an interesting one because he doesn't have an agent. Lamar does all of his own stuff, which is kind of awesome. But anyways, there's only a handful of guys that do that.
I could see Jameis doing that too, but Jameis has a different personality. That would be his agent,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's some big name coaches that got dropped, and I don't know. And how did what's his name avoid it with some of the big name coaches going down? Well, they're in the playoffs still. That's why Pittsburgh. Who's their guy? Is slipping my mind right now.
Mike Tomlin,
forever 9-8. Forever 9-8.
Yeah, that's I mean, that whole organization is cut from a different sort of cloth than the rest of the league. You almost have to kind of grade them differently.
Did you bring that up last week when you just get to see old Aaron Rodgers rip a smelling salt and then throw the touchdown pass? Did you ever see? Did you ever see that highlight?
I think I've seen the highlight, but
he's on the field, and then Busso like they break the huddle. He rips a smelling salt, throws it, takes the shotgun snap, and then delivers a bullet. Yeah.
Coordinators, right? So we got some coordinators that have kind of floating around here. Obviously, the one that I see the most on is Cliff Kingsbury. Now, I don't think he got fired. I think he just decided that, or they. I think kind of a mutual decision. Like, I'm gonna go do something else.
Yeah, this one surprised me because Jaden Daniels was injured basically all year.
Yeah.
And in the way that it's mutual, maybe Cliff wasn't too upset. But that sounds like we broke up and it was mutual.
Yeah.
And it usually never is. Now, so Cliff had a diminishing reputation with his time with Arizona prior to getting that OC gig, and this OC gig was kind of like the reclamation portion for him career-wise, because he built a reputation of not utilizing skill players in a dynamic way. And case in point was getting your playmakers in motion and moving them around the formation. So in motion is makes sense. You have them motioning and they're already running when the play starts. Okay, that's one thing, and that's one cheat code that OCs leverage. Another one is moving them around the formation, getting them different matchups. And so a lot of times you would see, they're running Scary Terry out there, and they're not moving him around the formation. A lot of the best offensive coordinators, that's the main things that they're doing is pre-snap motion, and getting those people moving, before the play. That's kind of one of the cheat codes as far as offensive success rate. And Cliff wasn't doing that. Now, I think he capitalized a little bit on Jaden Daniels' huge breakout season last year. So the question is did Jaden Daniels have a good first season because of that scheme, or because there wasn't enough tape on him, right? And then people caught up to it. And so I thought I was going to be eating crow about Cliff Kingsbury this year. They still had some success running the ball in Washington. So hat tip there. But I don't see why Washington would want to fire him after, or move on, or mutually part after having Jaden gone essentially all season. Because even when he was playing, he wasn't fully healthy. So
I don't think that guy's play style he could ever be fully healthy.
Well, he's 205 pounds, man. I mean, he's a little dude.
Yeah.
He's a little dude. And I am also done hearing, just talk about what the players are great at. That's easy enough. The NFL must be handing out bullet points, because I've watched a fair amount of Commanders football this year. And watching commentators always talking about, he's smiling. The guy's smiling. It's just that confidence. It's that savvy. It's just what you can't. It's just that veteran moxie that you don't expect in a guy this young. And I'm like, no, he's just smiling. Could it be he enjoys what he's doing? But they're always like narrative building. You know what I mean? And then, he ends up eating a turd this season. And if he eats a turd next season, then all of a sudden he's a bust, when, 24 months before he had all the veteran moxie because he was showing his teeth. So anyways, that's some of the things that I don't like.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think any of these guys
No.
are getting the call. I mean,
No.
they'll probably interview.
Yep.
I mean, if Cliff probably come into the building,
Yep.
for an interview, but who else
Are we looking at 5 spots? Yeah, look at all these dudes. Brian Flores, his time is up. I know a whole bunch of Lions Twitter were talking about, oh, that he would come and be defensive coordinator or some sort of defensive coach on our staff. That's only if he wants to hurt the Vikings' feelings.
Sure. Yeah. These are
I'm
guys who could be targets, but
Yeah,
I don't think they're necessarily.
Absolutely.
I don't know why. I guess honestly, I think it's gonna be a very appealing job. It's gonna be a job that a lot of guys are gonna want.
Yeah.
I have to wonder if they aren't gonna interview Hank Fraley.
Uh-huh.
I
saw that being tossed around a little bit because I know he got some OC interviews the last couple of years. And then, the thing that we haven't discussed yet, and it was kind of brought up in jest, but Campbell talking about, because they asked him whether or not he was going to maintain play calling duties with a new offensive coordinator. And he kind of laughed and chuckled about it. And he said, well, if I keep calling plays, I don't have to worry about losing my play caller. Now, there's some truth to that, because it does have to be a pain, because you don't say something like that without there being a grain of truth to it. So do you want to hire somebody who is, because everybody says, oh, we need like the super experienced guy. So let's just say, just for fun, the Dolphins fire Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
He becomes our offensive coordinator. That offense is going to look awesome next year, and he's going to be here for 1 season. Right. So like there's kind of a line here, right? Like you want to be able to bring somebody in. You want to be able to keep them there as well. You know what I mean? You don't kind of want to just have like a 1-year rental. But I guess that's, I don't know. But at the same time, if you win a Super Bowl, I don't think anybody cares. So anyways, I don't know. It's going to be very, very interesting. And it's very early in the process on all this for sure.
Yeah. And I do still see Tanner Engstrom's name thrown around there. He could get fired by the Jets too. I don't think that this probably was a very fair assessment of his, ability as a play caller with this kind of a washed season. But I don't know. I thought it was kind of fun to take a look at those. I think there's some good coaches out there, so.
I guess Jason Garrett is looking to get back in the game. He's interviewing with the Titans. Harbaugh, according to Schefter, is essentially the top head coaching candidate this hiring cycle. Multiple teams are reaching out. Of course they are. Yeah, it's always crazy to me, man. I mean, Stefanski won Coach of the Year twice within the last 4 or 5 years, and now he's out. It's a fickle business, man. It's a fickle business.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Jason Garrett, but you didn't mention Edna Garrett, who was the mother figure on Facts of Life, who kind of ran the I think it was like a novelty and candy shop there towards the later run of the series with Tootie, Joe, Blair, and Natalie, right?
Yeah.
Not like I'm trying to blend small town guys in here, but
I was just about to say, this
I got my show scripts
I need
mixed up.
I need my day-to-day life to level out here soon enough. I need enough bandwidth to start digging into some of this stuff again with you. But yeah. Well, it's good. No, we need things like that. Those are good things. What else you got on your mind, brother? You got anything?
I don't know. I mean, technically, I would say this is probably the season finale of waiting since 57. We're gonna have to wait and see. How are you feeling? All right, wild card weekend coming up. How are you feeling about your new team? You're back on the Schneid. I'm back on the Schneid. I'm pretty
Yeah.
pumped with the big win last, big Duval win last,
Yeah,
last
that's
week.
Who did I say who my team was last week?
I don't remember. I only listen to myself when we're talking.
I only look at myself. I only
Yeah,
listen to
yeah,
myself.
no,
It's just two guys looking at themselves on a monitor.
I just know that when there's no noise, then I can start making noise by talking.
I would not mind, just because of some of the success I had with Drake May this year. I would love to see him do well in the playoffs. I want somebody new. I do want somebody new. I don't count the Bills as somebody old. I would like to see them get over the hump. But I don't want it to be somebody from our division. I probably don't want an NFC team. I'll be really honest.
I think the Packers are one and done because it looks like Malik's not going to be able to play this weekend.
Yeah, so I saw something, but Love is going to be playing, right? That's got to be what's happening.
We'll see.
That's got to be what's happening, because I saw one thing and I'm like, is this a parody account? But anyways, but yeah, I would love to see. I would love to see our division go out of it quick, and just let it be noted, last place at 9-8, over 500. I think we would have been in first place in at least one other conference, and only one other division, I should say.
It's such a narrow margin. Like, there are how many games were kind of like a push, so close. It could have gone either way, but the record at the end of the day is what matters. I hate ties. I hate seeing tie games.
Yeah, because messes things up.
It's annoying, but it is what it is. The only, I think, probably the most important piece of news at the moment was stomping the Knicks last night.
That was pretty awesome.
By 31
That was pretty
points.
Awesome. Some of that game was on the cock, on Peacock.
Wait, that's not what we say, but yeah, no, I get it.
That's what we call it on my house.
Okay.
And I was surprised. I'm like, what game is this on? It's like Peacock. It's like dial it up.
There's a schedule for which games are actually like televised that I got to put them on my calendar, because I didn't realize it was on I would have watched it.
You know what I hated to find out? I watched that game last night and I didn't enjoy watching it
because of the commentators, because that's all I've been hearing about.
I don't think it was that. It was like, maybe it was my mood. Maybe it was I don't like watching like these. One of the things that drives me crazy is like this Jalen Brunson dude.
I hate him.
Like,
I
do. And listen, this has nothing to do with like, it's not like a physical. It's not like an appearance thing. These guys are professional athletes and they play basketball. They're not playing baseball. Jalen Brunson could lose 20 pounds, just like Luka Doncic in general. It always drives me crazy when I see these really, really talented guys that don't take care of themselves.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I did not expect a body shame thing, but no, keep going.
But no, it's not a body shame thing, because they're professional athletes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I always think to myself,
he has to have a few extra pounds because of how often he falls on the
well, Shea doesn't need it, because Shea's going down like he's getting shot with a high caliber round when he doesn't even get touched. But it was, and I don't know if it was just the style of play that night. So there's some players on New York that I don't like, but just like it was just kind of up and down, and it was either like kickouts, instant threes, like how, and I know it's like a super boomer take. I've watched some other NBA games recently where there's a little bit more ball movement. It was more dynamic to me, but the stretch that I watched in the second quarter, I think I watched most of the second quarter. It was just like, I don't know. It was like either just kind of like somebody getting to the basket or just instant threes.
Mhm.
And Cade looked great. I will say that one of my takeaways from that was he's really he's an interesting guy because he's not the fastest guy on the court, but he understands change of direction, change of pace. And he can finish at the basket, without being, the guy that absolutely jumps out of the gym. So no, that was awesome, and I'm loving this season. It is
It's great.
it's a lot of fun to watch.
And you can tell that they want to win that game. They wanted
Yeah.
that Knicks is kind of personal with them with the
Oh yeah,
last year, and the Knicks fans are the worst.
dude,
They're some of the worst.
I do. And I got family. I have family that are Knicks fans, and it's true. I think they are the worst.
Yeah.
New York fans, I swear.
I could not follow the mental logistics that I saw in some Knicks fans. Like they're like, the Pistons can't beat a good team. And I'm like, and people were trying to like break it down. Well, they just stomped, the Knicks.
Yeah.
So like, well, the Knicks weren't shooting very well.
Yeah.
So but I think that they're a legit contender.
Oh sure.
And it's definitely a fun season.
And this league, the way the NBA has shaken out. I mean, the regular season is the preseason. You know what I mean? Like the preseason stuff, the regular season stuff doesn't really matter a whole lot. Obviously, you'd like to be playing some home games in the playoffs and things like that, but it's basically can you get healthy and figure things out, figure out your rotations, figure out how you want to be moving the ball and stuff like that, and be healthy when the playoffs hit. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yep, they're looking good, and they've been bouncing around all sorts of different trade scenarios, but I don't know if I would mess with any of that.
Especially some of the stuff where they want you to trade for like an Anthony Davis street clothes, Anthony street clothes Davis, where it's like I don't see that. So
the other one I see as a potential trade target is that Lauri Markkanen from from Finland.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've been right now. I've just been so NFL focused, and really just NFL and just Pistons. So I'm a box score reader right now with the Pistons. So.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right,
brother. Yeah.
What's next for us then?
That's a good question. We've got there's a lot of going. We have a want to look at the off-season stuff. There's going to be some off-season stuff that I want to do. Maybe we will polish up these concepts of the waiting sense universe. We'll have to
do
see
some one-offs here, and
and let's chat about it once we jump off stream, brother.
Yeah, we'll definitely regroup and be back. If not sooner than for the draft.
Absolutely. Appreciate seeing people in the chat. Hope you guys have a good night, and we will catch you next time.
Later.